going on, guys? I'm back with another one. And I just watched a movie called Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse, starring Miles Morales, of course, Gwen Stacy, and Spot. That name is never the name that you just want to give a villain who's supposed to intimidate people. First of all, I've always had this unpopular opinion about Spider-Man. And that unpopular opinion is that I care more about his villains than I care about him. He's always had a fantastic rogue gallery, all right, in comparison to Batman's villains, who are also great. But in that case, Batman is a more interesting character than Spider-Man. I'm sorry. We'll talk about that a lot later on in some other video. But for right now, this is going out to all the villains who have not got their shine yet within the Spider-Man universe. All right. I'm going to call this one Villains Unexplored. All right. And we need to talk about that because the top #1 villain that hasn't been in a live action movie yet, Kraven the Hunter. All right. He's in the Sinister Six. All right. He wasn't even mentioned in the last one. And, No Way Home. He wasn't even mentioned in that. But he's in that group. Okay? Kraven the Hunter, as his name sounds like, he goes around finding ways to hunt, to be the best hunter he can be. All right? And in extravagant, he's the best hunter in the world probably. Because he hunts humans too. All right? He's hunting Spider-Man. And he's relentless. And this needs to be brought to the big screen someday. There was talks of it. There was also talks of him having his own movie, which I do not agree with them having his own movie yet. You need to feature him in a Spider-Man movie. Then maybe you can move on to that. But just don't do the own movie thing first, okay? Don't do that. That's a horrible idea. All right? But he definitely needs to get his shine in the big screen. Villain number 2, Scorpion. You've seen Scorpion in all the cartoons. If you grew up watching the cartoons I watched, okay, so he's already been iterated in that, but not the big screen. All right, and Scorpion, of course, is a half man, half Scorpion with the suit and everything, and the operation has been done to him. All right, and so it would bring to the screen a very violent character on the level of Venom, if you imagine. Okay, it has been hinted at in some past movies, if you watch all the way to the end, but they just never really got back to that. And I feel like they're never going to get back to that unless they, actually have a good idea going forward in MCU. They'll make sure that they include that in one of the later Spider-Man movies. Please do. It would be a great choice upon you to do this. All right. Villain number 3, Black Cat. Now, Black Cat really isn't seen as a villain to a lot of Spider-Man fans. It's just an ally because she's first a bad guy, then becomes a partner of his later on, and then they kind of get a little love interest thing going on there for a minute. All right, so that would be another very interesting character to bring to the MCU, at least, or however they want to do that. She needs to come to the screen as well. I wonder who would play her. That would be interesting. She has to be, smoking hot. I'm sorry. I mean, exceptionally, good-looking woman, and just be able to come off as a villain at first, and then later on kind of make this relationship with her and Spider-Man grow into something else. If you can if you can do that, please, please, please put those ideas in MCU's head and Marvel's head that they need to do this, because this is a long time coming, honestly. And villain number 4, the Chameleon. Now, the Chameleon, that would be more of a side villain. Or not side villain, I'd say that Chameleon definitely would need another villain to be on the screen with him. We know in the past that Spider-Man is very known for this, having multiple villains in a lot of their movies. I cannot think of one movie that had one solid villain by themselves. Maybe the first one, I can't remember. The first one I think they had, I think the first one. Not sure. My memory fades me. But yes, this would definitely work. Come on, bring that multiple villain talent you always bring to the big screen to this one, because you're gonna need the Chameleon along with somebody else for it to make any kind of sense. Which is what I thought they would do with Mysterio, but they didn't quite use the Chameleon in there. All right, they didn't use him at all. He really needs to be brought to the forefront. All right, for some reason, he's just been a favorite low level villain of mine. All right, he's not a high level. He's definitely not a high level. I don't even think he deserves a chair in the Sinister Six, but he's a crafty one. Of course, the Chameleon, it's like his name sounds. He can take on the not the form, but the identity of anybody he wants to. All right, he's really tricked Spider-Man in the past with this one. All right, I'm trying to figure out how that is when Spider-Man has the spider senses. But anyways, yes, he has done that. He has done that. So I really want to see this character brought to life soon. Please do that. Villain number 5, Tombstone. Now this is a crazy one right here. I remember him in the Spider-Man cartoons back then, Amazing Spider-Man. All right, with the rocking out theme song for that cartoon. I remember all that. All right, if you grew up like I grew up, you remember that. Okay, and Tombstone's first time being presented in any adaptation besides the comic books was on that show, and I enjoyed that entire episode because he just took over. As soon as he got on the screen, he took over. He was punking everybody. He's just a bully. He's more of an effective bully to me than Kingpin is. Kingpin needs to stick over the Daredevil area. Just he should never cross with Spider-Man. They have in the comic books, but it's nothing interesting. All right, Tombstone is where it's at. He's an albino. He's one of the albino villains. We don't get a lot of albino villains like that. And he's just out here punking people like Debo and Friday. All right. All right. And he does a very good job of it. I want to see Spider-Man go against this guy on the big screen someday. Someday. He won't be a top villain, but he will be memorable. Trust me on that. Villain number 6. Alistair Smythe. This one is a well-known villain if you are a big Spider-Man head. All right. But a lot of people who are used to the mainstream fandom of it, they're not going to know who the hell this is. All right. But if you read the comic books or you watch the cartoon back in the day, you know who this is. Smythe was the one who was responsible for making the spider killers or whatever they call it. The spider hunters, the machines that are programmed to hunt down Spider-Man, all right? His father did it. His father died. Now he's doing it. Okay, and Alistair on top of that is half man, half machine. It's a weird combination of his upper body and something that looks like Xavier's wheelchair, kinda. But he's still a cool character, and so much can come from just bringing him on the screen like that. This could be like a definite entire movie. He could be the top villain in that movie. Probably hold his own by himself. You know, with the things that he brings and he does, and the strife that he brings on the Spider-Man. Relentless. I remember that episode of that cartoon. I think it was a 2-part. It was a 2-parter. He was such a menacing villain. It was a two-parter, man. All right. Last villain on the list. The Jackal. All right. Now, at first glance, this might seem a little cheesy for those who are definitely not comic book fans of Spider-Man. But the Jackal is a force to be reckoned with. And not only the Jackal important as a villain, the Jackal kind of starts a trickle down of events. It's a clone saga in the comic books that there are several clones of Spider-Man who get their own identity at one time. And they become their own person, thinking they're Spider-Man. Okay? It is a very interesting concept that if you bring it to the MCU, that would start so much crap. Especially now with the situation that's happened to Spider-Man. I don't know how many people are aware or have seen the last Spider-Man movie, but yeah, that you know how that ended. All right. And so in the situation he's in now, to have somebody create clones of him would be insane. Well, there have to be some other things that happen first for that to even take place, but that would be such a crazy cinematic arc for Spider-Man. Okay, just think about it. Think about that. I beg of you. But for this one, now we have the Spot, who of course was another one who hadn't been put on the screen like that until now. And my question is, will the Spot surprise us? Will he be iconic just like this list I just named off? We're about to find out. Let's go. Spider-Man, across the Spider-Verse. For those who don't know, for those who are not aware, don't play me, man. Don't do this to me. Now, if you don't know about Across the Spider-Verse by now, you are in another universe. Okay, you're having trouble because you're over here trying to deal with another you from another timeline, another universe. Across the multiverse, okay, you're having issues with that right now. So of course you don't know about this movie. Don't do this to me. Don't play me. Penalized for life for that one. All right. Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse. Of course, pretty much coming off the last one. Okay, actually some years have passed a little bit. Years have gone. Miles Morales has learned some new tricks up his sleeve. You know, it shocked me too. I didn't know. I forgot that he had these tricks, and you know, so he's off doing his own thing. All his other friends from the first movie have gone on to do their own thing, and everything's back to normal, kinda. But then we're presented with the background story of Gwen Stacy, who's now back in her own world, just thinking about what happened to her and how she became Gwen Stacy. All right, and a similar strife she goes with her father, just the same way that Miles Morales has a little spiffs and spats with his own father. They're both cops, all right, but it's, of course. And so that tragedy is laid down on how her Peter Parker from her world, how that ended up, and how the Peter Parker from Miles Morales' world ended up, and it leads into what's going on now, what's happening now. We get into the villain Spot, who's starting off as a minor villain, all right, and then Miles Morales comes across him, and they have their words, and it's really never looked at again as anything important. Then later on, we get a glimpse of what's really going on. Why is Gwen Stacy back in Miles Morales' area? And there's so much to that. There's so much more going on than he even knows. And he's trying to figure out why is she here? How is she here? Is she just here to see me? And then it finds out that there are more spiders involved in this than he originally thought. Okay, and there's a big plot going on. Things that he doesn't know himself, that he might be a trouble to this. He might be a nuisance to this whole Spider-Verse. His existence might be the darkness that is bringing all this trouble in each universe that they have. And that's the plot to the movie. All right? positives. The animation in this film was 10 times better than the first one. Now, that's another thing I didn't step up on. I never really did a review on Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse. I researched my own videos. I never did it. I never did that review. All right, and I watched that movie, and I surprisingly liked it. I didn't think I was gonna like that, but I liked it. And now I'm doing this. But yes, the animation on the first one was good. It was decent for that type of animation. But on this one, they went to so many different levels with the animation for this. It went beyond. They went above and beyond. Think about how they jumped from universe to universe on Doctor Strange's movie. All right, think about how they did that. This is even better, and of course, you can do a lot more with an animated movie. So just imagine that, but 10 times better as well. Okay, this the illustration, the different worlds, and how they looked so vastly different from the other one. Okay, just how that was done, remarkable. The drawing, the etchings, the different moods, the changes from this to that to show you the mode of how this is, and how the feeling of the next scene is going to be from this. All right, and each character brought their own aura with them, or how they were illustrated. It's just it was something to see. It was just something to see. It was very entertaining, and I enjoyed that. All right. Another positive. The intense, dramatic scenes. Every time this movie had some kind of drama or reveal of something in somebody's backstory, it was heartfelt. It was heartfelt. And I've had this discussion with other people who have seen the movie already about the background story of Gwen Stacy compared to Miles Morales. I hate to say it. I felt a lot more for Gwen Stacy than Miles Morales. Even though Miles Morales is going through some things. He's definitely going through some things. Trust me on that. But Gwen Stacy, off the back, her backstory was explored first, after the credits finished rolling. And you just get into it already. You're already like, oh, man. Why? I see why she has to do this, and I see the rift between her and her father at a deeper level than Miles Morales and his parents. All right, and I just like how they drove into that, and how they made it feel some kind of impact on the story. Just watching that entire scene. You understand her side, you understand her father's side, why he feels the way that he feels. Easily. And I enjoyed that very much, okay? Another positive. The new group of Spider-Men, that's the new group of Spider-Men that are introduced from other worlds, are a lot better than the ones in part one. The ones in part one were a bit goofy. They were cartoonish. And I know this is a cartoon. I know, but Pig Spider-Man, come on, man. I know it's a real thing in the comic books, but I'm not a big fan of that. It's just so dumb. It's so dumb. And you had Meta Spider, whatever the hell her name is. She was in there, and then there was Noir Spider-Man, which was kind of cool, but yeah, did I care? Did he have any depth to him? No. In this one, you have Bollywood Spider. It's not his name, all right? But I forgot his name. But it's Bollywood Spider-Man right now, all right? Which is actually a cool character. With the way his web spin out and how he did all that, interesting. Then you have the rock and roll Spider-Man too, from England, who just was a rebel without a cause, all the way throughout that. And he brought so much to the scene. And those are just 2 adaptations. Way better than the 3 or 4 they had on the first one. Okay? Easily. So I enjoyed that. I liked the new Spider-Man. There was a lot more to them for me. And there's a lot of other Spider-Men in here that are going to shock you. The cameos are crazy. Let me put that right now. The cameos in this movie are insane. Last positive. The villain went from 0 to 100. Now, when I said all at the beginning, don't mind that. Because in the beginning, when you look at the Spot, it's just not an interesting character. Okay? But then as you start to realize how strong the Spot gets, I'm not going to say too much more, but his villain, his arc gets better and better. Just know that. Negatives. I couldn't make out some of the action scenes from time to time. When things started getting really good and revved up within the movie, it started to get, and I hate to do this again, I hate to mention or bring this up again, it started to get the Transformer effect to it. All right, and things got bumbled up and blended together, and so the fighting scenes, I couldn't make them out. I couldn't make out the fighting scenes sometimes, which is why I didn't put the fighting scenes as a positive, because even though this movie is highly entertaining with the action, the actual fighting itself, I couldn't tell at times what kind of moves were being made, because it was so much jumping, and you got like 6 web slingers on the screen at one time. All that web slinging and people sliding across the screen and all this, you don't know what the hell. There's so much webbing. It's a mess. It's crazy. Who's cleaning that crap up? Who's cleaning that up, man? Now, hopefully the webs really do dissolve, because that's a lot of web, man. And there's a lot of distraction going on in that movie, which is somewhat still a good distraction, because I'm actually into it, unlike the Transformers movies when I watch those. But it still was, I couldn't comprehend a lot of the stuff that was happening as far as action. And it kind of put a little bit of damper on that part, as far as me being just confused. Like, hold on, how did he end up here? Hold on, they already beat up the villain, or that villain for that part? It was a very iffy decision to make the action that riled up to the point where you just don't, it's almost like shaky cam. All right. It was just insane. That was insane. Another negative, as we all know, or if you can tell from the previews, there's a new addition to the Spider family, which is Spider-Man 2099. All right, now in the comic books, it's an incredibly cool character, and dark, edgy, by himself as his own person, it works. But when you have this dark, edgy Spider-Man, along with other Spider-Men who all have personalities, it doesn't work, because Spider-Man 2099 does not have a personality. He's a jackass, all right? Not in a funny, entertaining way. He's just very hard to get along with. He's a difficult person. He's bullheaded. He's arrogant, even though there are better Spider-Man than him. Oh, yeah, I said that. And it just, I get irritated by him, all right? Quickly. Extremely quick. He's not my favorite Spider-Man. Just put it like that. Last negative. How can Spider-Man be captured? I'm not trying to give anything away, because of course, in all your movies you have when the villain the hero gets captured and all that. So my question is, how did Spider-Man get captured in the way that he did? All right. How does he get captured? Because he has superhuman strength beyond his imagination, his own imagination. Doesn't make any sense. That's crazy. What did they do? It's not like Superman where you just find a kryptonite and you can get him. No, it's going to be a little more than that. What they did. It doesn't make sense, okay? But I've got to give this a hell yes. This was the best movie of the year yet. It's done a lot better than a lot of live action Spider-Man movies. Easily. Tops, hands down. Press that like button. Share it. Subscribe.